Civil discourse, for me, actually is the ability to sort of have your mind changed by somebody else's talking.
To me, public discourse is the stuff of people being able to talk things out. You know, when there's a conflict, be it in, say, a case of law or politics or even with your neighbor. Public discourse is, do you talk it through, or do you just kind of take up arms against the opposition and sort of try and struggle and fight to prevail?
I think that civil discourse means respect. Respectful communication between both parties so that we can listen and we can think and not respond without civility.
I have no clue what civil discourse is, and that's probably why the way I am and why I do business the way I do.
Something that's happening right now in the world is that we have this sort of precipitous drop in the amount of actual discourse that's going on in the world.
I think public discourse is important because without it, it's the stuff of gridlock. It's the stuff of, well, it, let's just go to war because there's nothing else to be done in terms of a conversation. We're clear that we're right. We're clear that they're wrong. It doesn't matter.
One of the things I've noticed that is, as technology evolves, civil discourse devolves. People hit send too fast, not only with their emails and their texts, but also with their personal interaction. They don't think before they talk.
It's interesting that it's happening at the same time where we have an abundance of communication devices. You know, everybody's got their phone and they've got their TV and they've got 24 hours of news and they've got all kinds of things that bombard them with information all the time. And yet, at the same time, we can't seem to figure out how to use those things to communicate simple ideas.
Maybe I'm jaded. I just don't believe anymore that there's trust in the system.
If you don't have public discourse, if you're not willing, that's the stuff of you're just at odds with people. You're just clear that you're right, they're wrong. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It's not important to take time and actually consider another viewpoint. It's an unwillingness to admit that you might be wrong or that there might be something that you could learn if only you'd hear what someone else has to say.
You know, the internet itself creates these buckets where people go self-selectively go into these buckets and they talk to people who believe the same exact thing as they do, and they have an echo chamber.
I think it can always work. It just depends on who wants to be the strongest crusader in their opinion, and the stronger, the bigger, you tend to get more people leaning to your ideas if they're like-minded people.
If you have public discourse, I think you can get to a place of conflict resolution much quicker. You can get to a place of harmony and coming to a solution that at least ostensibly works for everyone.
Civil discourse is challenging. It's challenging to have. It's challenging to like allow yourself to be persuaded.
Civil discourse, if anybody would like to engage in it or tries on a regular basis to engage in civil discourse, I think there's a level of bravery to that, because that means that you're willing to open yourself up to other people's opinions, and that is really hard in the age that we're living in.
It does take something to give up a position of I'm absolutely right and that's that. And you might have to give up something rather than rolling roughshod over someone in the absence of public discourse. It's instead a matter of, well, I might have to compromise, but I also might see that this other party has some valid points to make.
People are usually really hard-lined on certain issues and certain events that happen, but to actually sit down and to have a discussion and to be open to discussing something means that there has to be a level of civility and there has to be a level of respect that comes along with that. So you can't just browbeat someone with your opinions and your ideas. And that takes bravery. It's really easy to hardline something and I'm this way and no one can sway me and I'm just gonna shove my opinion down your throat. But it's harder to be respectful and to listen and to engage with someone else, because that means that you could be opening yourself up to learning something new, and when you learn something new, that's where you get on that kind of uncomfortable precipice. So But yeah, I think there's a level of bravery to it.
Even though I might not outright win, I'll have a lot less of a conflict to deal with. I'll make one less enemy and instead have the opportunity to have one more friend, a neighbor who I can consider myself an ally with.
Be brave enough to listen and to have a discussion, because usually the reason why civil discourse doesn't stay a discussion is because people get scared and they don't want to open themselves up to learn new things. So be brave, learn about other people, learn from a different viewpoint.
It's interesting to see people's eyes open up when you talk to somebody at length about a subject that they don't know anything about. It's also interesting when I hear something about a subject that I don't know anything about, and I get to have that sort of aha moment where I go, wow, I really wasn't thinking about this. I tend to try to live my life in a way that allows me to have those conversations. And I know I'm not the only one. So I'm sure that out there are other people who are looking for something like that. And I'd like to help them find it.
Now, Recipe for Peace Now was actually formed because of the problem in order to solve it. Recipe for Peace Now positively changes lives one conversation at a time by teaching mediation, negotiation, and civil discourse skills around the world.